the super fight, the big fight that everybody's talking about, Gervonta against Ryan. How big do you think this is going to be? I was talking before with Oscar De La Hoya, and he was telling me that it's going to be bigger than him against Trinidad. How big do you think it's going to be?
I hope he's right. And I was at that fight, and I remember the atmosphere. If it's anything like that, then we'll have a huge event. I never like to predict pay-per-view numbers, but I'll tell you what, this is as big as any fight in the sport, and potentially could be bigger, because when you talk about the few names in boxing that people outside of boxing fans know, in that small group, obviously Canelo, but Ryan and Tank have huge fan bases, of people who don't follow boxing very well. And that's the key to the health of the sport and having these big events, is bringing in not just the same people who are watching every week, which I appreciate, and we love the support from all those, but to grow the sport and have these big events, we need to bring in those people who, aren't particularly paying attention. We need to show them what the sport has to offer. And that's what the potential of Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis is.
You saw a lot of the negotiations behind the scenes. How difficult was it to make it happen compared to other mega fights?
Well, it was difficult. It was late nights. I lost some hair. I lost some sleep. I probably lost some weight along the way negotiating it. But look, it was worth it. Again, it's one of the best fights in boxing. And there were a lot to work out with. Obviously, Ryan was affiliated with a different network, and we had some issues to balance out. We got through those, and it was sort of painful. It took a little bit longer than we hoped, but we've got the fight now. And by the time we get to fight night, no one's going to remember any of that other stuff, and it'll just be all excitement and all enthusiasm.
Steven, what other fights caught your attention in the next future? In the lineup that you guys have on Showtime.
Well, look, I think next weekend, not this weekend is Figueroa Magsayo, but the following weekend from Australia, and it's been a while since we've done a fight from Australia. Tim Tszyu and Tony Harrison. Tim Tszyu is the son of Costa Tszyu. Costa had some fantastic fights on Showtime, many years ago, and now his son is on the verge of becoming a star in the sport as well. So look, whoever wins that fight will be the mandatory challenger for Jermell Charlo, the undisputed champion in that division. But before we get there, I think that's going to be an absolute war. Tszyu versus Harrison will. I don't think you need a referee. I mean, those two guys are going to meet in the center of the ring and going to try to take each other's heads off. I think that's a fantastic one. Look, everyone. I think the card we have in Carson, California, on April 8th is, it will be a fun card. Anytime you see Sebastian Fundora, he's exciting. Like you just have to watch him, not just because of, his activity level and his power. It just, you don't see a fighter like that every day. And, one of the young stars there underneath him, Brandon Lee, also there from Southern California. He's building a good young following. And I think, just between those two, those are two really good reasons to head out to Carson and see the fights live.
And just my last question, Steven, I know you're a big boxing fan, of course, and there's a lot of talks about Francis Ngannou and Bellator. And do you see him doing boxing in the near future?
He's very serious about boxing. And what some people, don't realize is that boxing was his first love. And that was his first intention. And he did a lot of training. So this is not sort of an older MMA fighter just trying to take up boxing. He took up MMA because he was told that boxing would be too difficult and it would take him too long to get into the point where he makes some money. And he was basically homeless at the time. And he heard that MMA would be an easier way to make a living or a faster way to make a living. So I think he's very serious about boxing. I think he's very capable. You can see he has good stand-up skills, when he fights MMA. And I don't think we've seen the end of it. So, I mean, to me, if he gets a fight like a Deontay Wilder, it's sort of like it's two superheroes fighting. It is, Batman versus Superman, like the Incredible Hulk versus, Batman. Like, you don't know who's going to win, but you want to find out.
Excellent. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay, of course, absolutely.